recorded just in case. Okay, there we go. So let's screen share and hope we only have the right things open. Let's find out. There we go. Okay, excellent. So here we have our big idea, our business idea generator. And that's what we're going to do tonight. And I'm really excited. My fear is that you're going to actually come up with too many ideas. So we'll try to narrow that down at the end. We're going to start with just trying to actually come up with as many great ideas as possible. So before I start, a little bit, oh, I just colored on the screen. Okay, could everyone see that or just me? I have no idea. Okay, so before I start, I want to share a little bit of why I'm giving this class and what my background is and what gives me the permission or experience to be able to teach this. So I was working at a full-time job in 2015, and I started reading like all these ideas of like how to build a side hustle, how to build multiple streams of income, how to build passive income. And it was like just that time of the internet where all these like ideas were becoming, where everyone could see and access them. And I remember just thinking like, oh, okay, I maxed out. I was actually running a daycare business. It was my own business, but that's it. Like you have the amount of kids that you could have full time. And then like there was no other way to grow it unless I was going to like open a big daycare center. And I'll talk about that later, why I realized that was not a good idea for where I lived. And so I started thinking about how could I expand my income. And so I went through this exact process and I came up with an idea, a simple idea. And my goal was to make $1,000 a month. That was what my goal was. And I figured if I can make an $1,000 a month, like that would really change things for me. Maybe I could start saving, maybe I could start investing, maybe I could like start making enough money to build up like the kind of business that I actually want to. But like I was living exactly on my income. There was no extra money to play around with. So I thought like if I could do that, I could change my life. And so actually it was true. And so what happened was that I came up with a simple idea. And I started around this time of year. So I found the idea, and my goal was I gave myself 6 months to take this idea and make my first $1,000. And by April, so it took me 4 months to make $1,000 from this one thing that I was selling, which was actually a $75 product. And I'll tell you about what it was soon. It will come up. And then I made $1,000. And then I thought, wow, like whatever I did, I could double. So then like, let me see if I could double that and turn that into $1,000 on top of my salary. And it took a couple more months. And I think by July, I had doubled it. By December, I reached my first $3,000 month on top of my salary, like doing this extra side hustle. And I was working hard, but it also felt like incredible. At the same time, at that point, I realized like, okay, I just figured this thing out. And now I don't necessarily want to be doing this thing for the rest of my life, but what is it that I really want to do? Like, what business do I want to start? And I had built this skill, this muscle of like trusting myself, trusting in the process, understanding the process, because once you understand the process of going from employee or basic business owner to an entrepreneur, you change your brain, you change your way of thinking, you change your understanding of how the world works, and you become somebody who could do that again and again and again. And so I, at that point, decided I wanted to go deeper and think about how I could take what I learned from that business and turn it into a long-term sustainable business that I would actually enjoy. And that is how I started doing career coaching. And I started from taking that money, investing it in training, $5,000 to become certified with Rockport Institute. I finished that training the following April, started, and then within a year, quit my day job, was making enough money to cover my salary. And then I've built it ever since 2017. Now I have my own practice. I also have joined Rockport Institute as Director of Training and Development, where I train other coaches, help them build thriving coaching practices. I speak all over. I write for a couple of magazines. And that all started from a simple idea of how can I make an extra $1,000 a month? So that's what gives me the desire and background to be able to give this class. And I would love for all of you, if that's your goal, whether you want to keep this $1,000 on the month on the side, a few $1,000, turn it into replacing your day job. I want to give you today the first step. Now, following this, the reason why this class came up was because following this class, there's going to be, I'm going to mention this at the end, but I'm doing, for those of you who follow my emails, I think most of you, there's going to be a 5-week course, which is taking your idea and then developing it into your actual first sale. So anyone who's interested in that, I'm going to follow up with that information. If not, you just feel free to use this. I'm very happy to answer your questions, and take as much as you can from this evening. It's my pleasure to be here and to help you out. Okay, so with that background in mind, oh, how to turn off the entry chimes. Okay, I thought I was the only one who could hear them. Hold on, let's figure this out. If anyone knows, let me know. And I didn't realize everyone could hear that. Shotzi likes the chimes. Okay, how do we turn them off? I have no idea. Okay, if somebody knows how to do it, like we're gonna be hearing this the whole night, the bell constantly ringing. So it's in the setting from Zoom. Let's see if it's gonna let me do settings now. Yeah, no, I think I'm gonna have to do this. Oh, wait, the 3 dots on the side. Play sound when someone joins. Off. There we go. Okay, thank you so much for commenting. All of you. Okay, second. Okay, and I hope you're all comfortable. Like I wrote to you in the email, I'm in my cozy sweatshirt. So Shotzi, I'm sorry. I'll sponsor dessert for our dinner. Okay, so okay, on to getting this thing rolling. So how to choose your business idea. So before we dive into doing it, I want to point out why most people don't start businesses. And I think it's not for the reason that we think. So I don't know if you know the story, but I remember like hearing it, as a kid, like kind of growing up with the story of there's like a guy, he's in New York City, if you can imagine that. So it's just like straight city blocks with a bunch of, lights, and you could kind of see a bunch of blocks in advance. And there's this truck driver just sitting at a green light. So someone pulls up next to him and they say like, why are you sitting there? Like, why didn't you go? And he goes like, oh no, I'm waiting for all the lights. I have to go 10 blocks and it takes a long time with stopping and starting. And so I'm waiting for all 10 lights to turn green at once. Right. So like the joke is obviously that he's wasting more time than he would stopping and starting by never starting in the first place, waiting for everything to be perfect. So we do this thing where we think like it's a hike or something, or like it's like building a bunk bed where like if we don't know where we're going to end up, then we shouldn't start. Now, if you're hiking, that's a really good strategy to follow. If you're building a bunk bed from IKEA, that's also a really good strategy to follow. Have a clear picture of what it should look like at the end. We apply this to business where we shouldn't. So like we actually shouldn't. Oh, you see, without the chimes, I'm forgetting to let people in. Wait, there's 5 people waiting. Okay. I'll have to check that every minute or two. Okay. So we think that it's the same thing, but actually it's the opposite. It's much more like working out, where you want to practice it and start so that you're not like that truck driver waiting at the first light, waiting for everything to turn green and waiting to be able to see exactly what's going to happen. Like at this point, we're taking you from just being a person, regular, normal person, to being an entrepreneur. And you're changing your brain, you're changing the way you think, you're changing the way you look at the world. So that's number 1. Number 2, people, I hear this all the time. I hear clients tell me, like, well, that's a dumb idea. Like, I'm not just going to start a taxi service, or I'm not going to start, which like, hey, Uber is a taxi service. I'm not going to start like rent a room in my house. Like, I want to go into real estate. Like, it starts with the room, right? So it starts small. And second of all, it doesn't matter if this is your $1 million idea. It matters that you do something. Like my focus tonight, if I can tell you one thing, you could leave after this, is just take action. Do one thing, try one thing. Now, don't throw things in all directions. Like we're going to have a format to follow so that you actually do things that are useful to making money. Like that's the goal. Could you do something that's interesting enough that you have enough skill that could make you some money, that we could prove that you are able to follow this simple business model, right? It's like, you don't start off baking 7-layer cakes. You start off baking like a brownie mix. Like, could you figure out how to crack the eggs, mix the water, stir it, not forget the oil? Good. Okay. Now you're somewhat of a baker. You have the basic skills. You mix it, then it goes in the oven, then you take it out, right? Like we're going to go through those basic skills. And if you can figure that out and understand it and practice it, then you're building the skill of being an entrepreneur. So like worrying that it's not big enough is also funny. So kind of like what I was saying here, like, if you're someone who dreams of being like a heavyweight, right? And you want to, so you go into the gym and you're a skinny dude, but you think of yourself of like that, like champion, right? So you're like handed the 1 pound weights and you're like, oh no, that's not for me. Like I'm going to do like the big ones, right? But like, yeah, you got to start with that. So that's kind of what people do. It's like, oh no, I'm going to have a big business. Like I'm not going to have a small one. No, sure. Like you can buy a big business. You can partner with someone who has the money. You can invest in a big business. There are ways to do that. But if you don't have those things accessible to you and you just have you and your skills, like you have enough to start a business. We live in a time and age when that is enough. It's miraculous what people can do from the comfort of their own couches. And like that's not, you don't have to wait for this big investor or business idea to strike. It's just practicing becoming. I'm sure you've heard stories. I've heard many stories of people who were billionaires kind of being interviewed or even had this situation happen to them. But I feel like it's like Gary Vee, if you would ask him like, what would happen if you would lose all your money overnight, right? So it's not such a big problem. Like he could lose the money, but he can't lose the skill. And he would likely say, I'll pick back up and start it all over again and probably do even better. And we've seen these stories happen again and again. So it's not the money that you're missing, it's the doing it and thinking like an entrepreneur and actually building up that muscle. So right now, our practice is to how to turn what you already know into money. And I'll give you permission to learn a little bit if you want to, but chances are you think you need to learn more than you actually need to learn. So what is it that you really need to succeed in business? You need what you already know, the things that you already know how to do, your existing skills and knowledge, things that you're interested in. Yes, that weird topic that you're diving into on Instagram or that YouTube channel that you follow that your spouse thinks is really a waste of time, like that is useful. That might be really interesting. That might be what pays the bills one day. So your interest, like that's something that we're going to look at. And then, of course, the market. It doesn't matter what you're good at or what you're interested in if the market decides that they don't want to pay for it. So we're going to go through these three things, and then that's really all there is to it. If we figure out something that you're interested enough in, willing to do, maybe would even have fun doing, existing skill, and something that the market's willing to pay for, boom, you have a service, you're in business. That's really, really all you need. Okay, so grab a paper, open the notepad on your phone, probably pen and paper is best, take a minute, and we're gonna go through identifying your skills. Really boring exercise, but it's gonna be fun. We're gonna help each other out. We're gonna get these ideas flowing, starting with this very simple exercise. Okay, so we're gonna go through these, giving you a second. I'm gonna catch up on the chat while you identify your skills. Okay, how do I decide a service price? That is one of the things we're going through in the class. Class number 3 is all about pricing. If someone can scale a banana with tape on it, yes. A couple of years ago, I made a stupid Kindle Direct Publishing, KDP, coloring book and sold a couple hundred to try it out. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you, Dan. That's an experiment. That's like practicing a business muscle. Like you have a business muscle now. You can do anything else. It doesn't matter if you use that exactly again. Okay, someone's saying, I don't want to start small if it's going to fall through. You know what? I want you to build the muscle. If you can do what Dan did and sell a couple of hundred coloring books, I mean, even if it was $5, that's a nice amount of money for the time that you put in, my guess is. That's fantastic. Yeah. Good. Keep them coming. Okay, amazing. So we're going to go through these one at a time, and I'm going to give you time. Wait, somebody's coloring on the screen. Okay, someone has their coloring on. Was fun. Okay, great. They're practicing one of their skills. I love it. Okay, skills that okay, so the first most obvious thing is what you use at work. So make yourself a column on your sheet of paper. We're gonna make a second column, so make space or take another piece of paper. But I want you to start making a list of boring skills. Now, I don't want you to stop yourself by being so smart and thinking, okay, but that's not a skill that anybody would pay me for, or that's something that only this company needs, or that's something that isn't really valuable. I want you to start thinking about going through your day. What are skills that you use? Do you write? Do you teach? Do you network? Do you sell? Do you style people, style designs, style homes? Do you analyze information, data? Do you use ChatGPT? Do you, like, what is it that you do? So write this down for yourself. Oh no, a bunch more people. Okay, maybe I should turn this thing on. Okay. Okay. You're writing? Good. Type it into the chat if you could after you wrote it on your paper. I want to see some skills. Okay. What if you can't find anything that you feel like will make money or you would like, no matter what it was? We'll deal with you. Okay. We'll do a live session if you want. Okay, good. Oh, Nechama, hi. Selling, coaching, excellent. Delegating. I've done a few photo shoots, but I had some unpleasant clients, so I stopped. Okay, we'll talk about that. Writing, excellent. Hi, Phyllis. Okay. Writing professional emails, researching, operations, networking, phone calls, technology. I love this. Okay, troubleshooting. Good, good. Keep writing. Graphics. Good. Okay, keep them coming. Problem solving, working quickly, educating, speaking, research, design. Okay, good. Keep writing these down. We're going to spend just a little bit of time on each one, but keep this written down so that you could do this. You could continue this exercise on your own. Wait, put this away. Let's see. Problem solving, tie loose ends, listening. Good. I like that. Like a soft skill, like tying loose ends. That's a good one. Programming, organizing topics, estimating, following politics, social skills, teaching kids to be comfortable with their friends. Yeah, so much talent in this room. My goodness. Okay, speaking. Yeah, speaking to people. I have a business built on speaking to people. I'm speaking to people right now. Absolutely. Yeah, you can make anything into a business. Fundraising, very powerful. Listening, validating. Okay, fantastic. Good. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Okay, what do people always call you for? So think about the last few times friend picked up the phone, a sibling picked up the phone, a parent, a neighbor stopped you by the bus stop. You got a text. What are the kinds of things that people ask you? Do people call you when their computer's not working, or do they call you when their kid's misbehaving? Do they call you to complain before they're having their mother-in-law, or to call you for menu ideas before they're hosting for a holiday? What are people calling you for? Write these down. These are skills. This goes under your skills. Were they asking you where to go on a trip? Were they asking you for a book suggestion? Were they asking you to borrow a tool that you have that most people don't have? Were they asking you to help them with figuring out what to do on Sunday afternoon because they're bored? What do people call you for? Good. Write those down. Feel free to type them in. I see some messages coming in. Business advice, Shotzi, people call you for everything. Okay. Shotzi, put in your toll-free number, please, here. Everyone's probably curious what I'm talking about. Okay, good. This is great. Advice, fixing stuff, personal finance, investing, car, house stuff. Good. Figuring out how to make groups. Oh, Geula, yes, I know. I'm on some of your groups. Social media, how to make websites, venting, how to plan their day, ideas for boredom, baking questions. Think for them. That's interesting. I wonder what kind of thinking. Coaching, therapy, being a listening ear. Okay, 1-888 Shotzi. Good. Everyone write that down. Encouragement. Okay. Groups, I don't know. I always see you posting groups. Sharing their feelings. Good. Okay, excellent. What people call you for, big, big, big clue. Before I did this, people were calling me all the time for resumes. That's actually the thing I ended up doing for $75. Okay, moving on. Next slide. Okay, wait, did I just skip one? No, we did that. Okay, what do you get complimented for? So there's something that people your whole life have told you, maybe as a little kid, maybe your parents, grandparents always said, oh, she's so talented, such an artist, such a whatever. Write those all down. What are things that your spouse compliments you on? What are things that your friends always mention? What are things that when you meet someone for the first time, they notice about you? Oh, you're so good at putting outfits together, or you have such a great voice. Right? Like I've complimented people. I'm like, wow, you have like a radio voice. Like you have a great way of speaking. I love your energy. You're such a great networker, right? You're so patient. You're the person, you have so much medical knowledge. How do you know that? What do people say to you? Good. Kind, sensitive, great eye for detail, good energy, easygoing, planning ahead, being prepared, smart, funny, intense, hardworking, good dad, chill. Okay, I love these, Dan. Thank you. Organized. You make time for others. Yes. Bringing a smile to people's faces. Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, good. Honesty, creativity. You're very present. You're helpful, creative, clarity. Good. Okay, good, good. Keep these messages coming. Excellent. You're good at understanding children. You're good at organizing. Good. Okay. Um, I love this one. You 5 years ago, what do you wish you would have known? What have you learned in the last 5 years that you might not have noticed? You might have learned it gradually. Maybe you learned to be better at managing your home or organizing or meal planning. Or maybe you've gone to therapy and learned a specific skill that you found really helped you. Maybe you got healthier and you learned like how to eat. Maybe you learned something about nutrition. Maybe you have a fitness routine that changed your life. Maybe you got really good at packing for traveling and you just have like all these like rules and systems that just work for you so you and your family get in and out of the airport really quickly. Maybe you came up with some really good Excel formulas that cut your work in half. Maybe you got really good at using AI to write things for you. Maybe you learned how to fix your own car. Maybe you went to a color theorist and got obsessed with that and redid your whole wardrobe, and now you have clothes that match your skin color and wish you could tell everybody else how they should be shopping. Um, you've learned how important it is to listen to what kids have to say. More seriously, how to invest and use money as a tool. It's not what you know, but who you know. Powerful. How hard teenagers are to raise. Yes, I have two of those. Excellent. Making routines, how to deal with relationships, how to believe in myself. Maybe, I think about like the 5 buckets of like your emotional life, your spiritual life, your physical, your financial, your career. In any of those areas, where have you learned something that 5 years ago this is a great business to start, something that you wish 5 years ago. And I find that I'm always changing my business to me 5 years ago. So when I started career coaching, I wanted to work with the young people who were just deciding. A couple of years later, I want to work with the people who were like me 5 years ago, who are mid-career, confused, unhappy. And as I go, I think that's going to keep changing. But you 5 years ago is really, really powerful. Understanding relationships, learn that you know what you need to know at the time that you need it. Interesting. Using less energy for unimportant things. Good. Excellent. Okay. Next. Okay. Keep writing these down for yourself. I want you to have this afterwards. Okay. You know what we talk about, like the flow state, just getting into the flow. Things that I don't realize how much time has passed. I forget that I'm tired. I forget that I'm hungry. I feel like that right now. Like I was exhausted before I got in here, and now I'm like full of energy, so excited that we're discussing this. And there's all these people here who are motivated and passionate about making their lives a little bit better and making more money. So what are things that you would literally do for free? And I say like, even if I made enough money that I never need to work again, I don't think I would be able to give up career coaching. Like I get too much pleasure out of helping people solve their problems. So what's something like that for you? Would you play an instrument, talk to people, hang out with people, figure out new tools, build a YouTube channel, take care of babies, develop software, recipes? What are things like that? Curriculums, cooking. Things don't matter, but people do. Arranging itineraries for vacation, speaking in public. Yes, yes, yes. What's XLOOKUPs, pivot tables, and other basic Excel? I guess it's Excel skills. That's cool. I don't know how to do that. Fixing, building, repairing, listening to people, playing music, teaching adults. Yes, if you ever need a new thing, teaching music, building a YouTube channel and courses, that's fantastic. Aggregate the news, that's a good skill. Teaching, cooking, listening. Excellent. Okay, fantastic. Think about those things. Good. And it's crazy because people think like, oh, I would never get paid for that. And we all know people who get paid for those things, don't we? Crazy, right? Okay, now things that you wish you could get paid for. I know you're gonna say video games, and yes, I already wrote probably not. It's like 1 in a million from the clients of mine who know. But what if you could get paid to be creative? What if you could get paid to paint? What if you could get paid to tell people what's wrong with what they're doing? Wouldn't that be fantastic? That's what I do. Or any consultant, right? Or a restaurant critic. Imagine if you could eat for free and get paid to tell them what was wrong with the food. So fun, right? What if you could shop for someone all day? There's people who make money doing that. What if you could dance all day? There's people who give dance classes. There's people who give journaling classes. There's people who are personal trainers who get to exercise and get paid for it all day. Dream for a minute and let yourself think, what would be something that if I could get paid to do all day, I would love to do? And just dream. Don't tell me that it's not possible. Wouldn't work in my community. Wouldn't work where I live. I don't want to hear any of that. Just what's something that if I could get paid to do this, write it down, allow yourself to dream. Okay, so next. I wish I could get paid too. And then, okay, this people don't think that they're relevant. I spoke to someone today who was a talented actress as a kid and was like, oh, that's not relevant. But we found some skills that were really relevant to what they were doing. So don't nix anything. What were things that you knew how to do as a kid? There are like skills that you're like, what? Like I don't use nowadays. Like, what does that have to do with anything? Right? Okay, so those things. Who in the world would pay me? I wish I knew how to swim. Research, swimming as a kid, toddler, exercise with music, learning, boss people around. Yes. Eat. You could get paid to eat. It's crazy. You could do recipe tasting, brainstorm, dream, travel, learn. Yeah, people get paid to learn. People get paid to travel, consult, get paid to be a critic, tell people how they can make something better. Yeah, any consultant. Take courses. Yeah. Talk with friends. Yes, that's what coaches do. Organize homes. Yes, that's what organizers do. Empower people. Yes, that's what therapists do. Travel. Yes, get paid to write music. That's tough. Get paid to drink coffee. You know, I was following someone who was doing this like a taste every day of like different coffees and like got a lot of followers to her channel for the other thing that she was selling. So maybe you can do that differently. Help people make better choices. Sleep. Yeah, there's a sleep consultant. What's his name? Daron Lazarus. He gets paid to, well, not to sleep himself. You can sleep over as an aide and get paid to sleep. Play sports. Yeah, there are people who get paid to play sports. Probably not anybody in this room. Sorry. You're already too old for that. You could do, there's sleep labs that pay people. How do you get paid for reading? Yeah, well, if you work for a lawyer, you get paid to read for them. But do you like, I don't know if legal documents was your idea of reading, but there are lots of things that you can read in like indirectly and then figure out what to do. Like you can read for college students and then, you know, teach them the course. What kind of reading is more? Bookstagram for the reading person. Yes. Oh, good. Everyone's giving suggestions. Okay. The mattress companies do that. Play sports, coaching sports, follow the news and politics. Yeah. I mean, what's his name? Ben Shapiro makes a great living out of following the news and politics. Look at that. Okay. Good. What else? Let's move on. Okay. Now there's other things, like the things that you've always been good at, like you just always were like a good cook, good at tutoring, good at breaking things down, patient, or something that you just use a lot in your personal life. Maybe you just ski a couple times a year. Maybe you just like drive a lot and you're just like a great driver. Everyone's always complimenting your driving. You're just like really good at organizing, scheduling. Who knows? Okay. Interests. Okay. Now, interests are important, not as important as skills. And so I'm going to go through these questions, and this is what you're going to make your second column for. So I was kind of debating, like, should we do start with skills and then narrow it down to like an interest within that skill? I'm going to do it as a standalone, which is going to make it a little bit harder for us at the end because then we're going to be matching the skills and the interest. But sometimes you'll have an interest that you don't have a skill in yet, but then you could develop one. So I wanted to allow space for that. Okay. So things that you're curious about, you don't necessarily need to have a lot of skill yet, but you're curious about. So what do you like reading about? Do you like reading articles, longer books? What topics do you like to read? What email newsletters? Are you signed up for email newsletters? I know that I'm signed up for a ton of, the only ones that I actually enjoy reading. I have a separate email folder just for those. And like, that's what I do for like my downtime. I collect emails that I like reading, mostly about marketing, copywriting, business strategy. What are you signed up for? What do you read? What kind of tools do you use? Whether it's a mixer, whether it's a chainsaw, whether it's an app, some kind of technology. And really, I'm just giving you these prompts to think of interests that you have. So things that you're just interested in. You could be interested in people, cultures, someone that you've never visited. You're interested in a way of life. You're interested in some kind of animal. You all again. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Your favorite apps. What are the apps on your phone that if you had to pick 3 apps and the rest were going to get deleted, which ones would you need? Think about that. Write those down. What do you do in your free time? I know some of you don't have a lot of free time. Maybe you have kids and you don't get to choose. But how do you end up spending your Sundays? Even if it's not your choice, you end up doing something. So what do you end up doing when you have free time? What are your hobbies? Whether you've done them in the past, whether you have them now, or whether they're hobbies that you would love to pursue. Like, I don't play an instrument, but it's something that I would love to do in the future. Maybe I could make a YouTube channel of watch me learn and learn along with me, and I'll just always be 2 steps ahead of the people who are following me. Hobbies. What sounds like fun to you? Favorite stores. Okay, what are your top 3 stores that if you could go on a shopping trip and spend as much time as you wanted in those 3 stores, what would it be? What do they sell? Why do you like these stores? Do you like how they smell? Do you like how it looks? Do you love their products? Do you like the way they treat you? Do you like the design? What about their products do you like so much? What are your favorite brands? Why do you love them? What do they do right? Why would you never switch? Brand of shampoo? Why do you like that? Do you like the design? Do you like the smell? What's so good about it? Do you just like it because it's memories of something that you grew up with? Okay, something is on. There's like this coloring. I don't know how to shut it. We need to shut it. Oh, there we go. I don't know. Okay, whoever's coloring, try to color on your own screen, because I think everyone can see it. I'm sure it's happening by accident. Don't worry about it. Okay. What kind of product? So I don't know if you're the kind of person, but I know that like when I go to a restaurant, I need everybody to know about it. So is there like a product like that you're constantly just obsessed with? Like everybody should have this thing. Why do you like it so much? What's so great about it? Who do you follow on social media? What do they talk about? Who do you admire, whether they're from now, whether they're from the past? And conversations. What comes up a lot? Okay. Thinking about this. Good. So I think most of you are busy writing. I'm not seeing a lot coming in. Okay. There we go. Thank you, Google. Very helpful. Okay. You're good at technology. Okay. Maybe it was me coloring. Who knows? Good. Okay. Nutrition. Chinuch. Good. Okay. We're going to move on. Okay. Now, these are other things, like the main things that we care about are your skills and your interests. You could add these in separate columns, or you could put these in the same thing, but these are other things to consider before we move on to choosing our idea. So life experiences that you've had. Sometimes there's a skill that you didn't plan to have or you didn't want to get, but you had to get. Maybe you had to decorate on a budget. Maybe you had a kid with a condition and you had to learn certain skills around it. Maybe there's problems that you had that you've solved. Like I married someone whose parents speak a different language. I had to learn a new language. That was a life experience and then a problem that I solved. Okay, something that I noticed. So I have a kid who's gluten-free, and there's no gluten-free bakery where I lived. We were on a trip in Florida recently, and I typed in like kosher gluten-free, and this bakery came up, and it was fantastic. And we walked in, and there were such good options, and I was like, I'm not even looking at the prices. Like baking gluten-free is so expensive, and I noticed that that's missing. So what's something that you notice that you're always looking for, and you've gone somewhere and it existed, and you wish it existed in your hometown? You're probably not the only one. You probably, or some of you have a network that you're not thinking of. Like maybe your family owns a business. Maybe you're in a community where like there's lots of experts in a certain area. Like everybody, is in the diamond district. And like you just have a lot of access to people who have certain specialized knowledge. That's something to write down. Like that's something that you have. It's not exactly like a skill, but it's something that you have access to. So maybe you can build websites for people like that, or you can get knowledge and share it with people who are trying to figure out how to get into the industry or things like that. Okay, what are things that you've spent money on? Things that you might have not thought were worth spending money on, but like maybe you thought like, I would never spend money on like a travel service. But then once you're going to the airport and I had my grandmother in town and no one was available to drive her, and she needed like someone who would take her and pick up her bags and not just drop her off like a taxi. And I spent money on a concierge travel service. So think about things that you've spent money on that you're really happy to spend money on, right? Like I love spending money on cleaning help. It's such a great thing that exists. Things that you wish you could spend money on. right? Like, what if I could just find a house cleaner that was a flat fee instead of them always raising their prices, and depending on how many hours it takes them, I'm being charged more. Like, what if there was just an agency that just had a flat fee cleaning your house once a week? And then this, which probably a lot of you have, or at least the people who have high problem solving skills, but when you walk into local businesses and something drives you crazy, like you want to schedule by the barber and it's so hard to call up and there's so many hoops to go through, like what if you could create a little app for them? Maybe it exists. Maybe you could broker that app to them. Maybe there's businesses that are like bad location, but if they would only get on social media, they would be able to do so much more. So these things, write them down. Okay, next. Okay, so kind of just summarizing here, what are you good at? How could this skill be used in real life? Now we're going to take it to a little more practical. Who might need help with this? What's a specific thing that you could offer based on this skill? Is there a demand for an idea? So we're going to be talking about market, right? We said skills, interest, and market. So that's our last thing. Okay, now, surprise, we are not looking for the best idea. I know that this, the course that I am giving was called Passion to Profession or Passion to Profit. And you might have believed me and thought it was only about passion, but right now it's not. Right now, the passion is making money, all right? And I'm not saying that should be enough for you long term, and that's certainly not the way to choose a career in general. But for right now, we're not looking for the best. Are you familiar with the term the good enough mother? So there's like research on like good parenting and bad parenting, and there's this concept that is basically like you can be a decent parent if you're good enough and you won't harm your child and they'll be okay, and you don't have to be like that helicopter parent and kind of balancing out between like the neglectful parent and the super watching their child every move, not giving them space to learn and develop on their own. So the good enough concept I want to apply here, where we just want a good enough idea. Now, what is a good enough idea? Something that goes through our good enough litmus test, or GILT for short. Okay, so what is that, and how do we take it through that litmus test? So the good enough idea litmus test is simply, do I have the skill? Do I have enough interest? Like, I debated between being like, am I willing to do it, or would it be fun for me to do? It's up to you. Like, probably if it's going to be your long-term idea or your long-term business, you should really have fun doing it. You should enjoy it. Do I have enough interest in it? Like, right now, like, am I willing to do it just to get started? That's probably enough. Depends also on your personality type, which I have a really fun slide at the end that will kind of break down depending on your personality type. Like, if you know your personality type, so like the NFs usually really need to be passionate about it. The STJs less so. So there's a couple of factors there that way, come in specifically. Okay, does it check all three boxes? Then you have an idea. So, for example, skill, interest, and market. So I know how to cook. I have the skill. The market does pay for prepared meals. Now, do I have enough interest? Not really. Okay, so we're gonna nix that idea. I love books, so I got the interest. I know how to read. I have the skill. Does anyone want to pay for me to summarize a book? They do not. I know because I looked into it, and there's like Goodreads, and there's like lots of apps that will summarize books for like a very cheap subscription, like $9.99 a month. So I add my little book summaries to the bottom of my emails. I like them, people like them, but they're not willing to pay for it. Okay, so that's not a good business idea for me. Okay, I'm a decent writer. I love poetry. I don't actually, but just as an example. So I have that interest, but yeah, no one's paying for your poems. I remember being at an event where a woman was trying to sell her book of poems. Like, no, it's, maybe there's a very, very, very small market somewhere in the world where people are willing to fork out $20 for a book of your poems, but not in the world I live in. Okay, and then, but what if I have the skill, I'm a decent writer, people are willing to pay for resumes, so we have the market, and I'm interested in jobs. That is an idea. And that was the process that I used to come up with my resume writing idea. And I invested exactly $15 in putting a local ad in the classified section of my local newspaper, just saying that like I wrote resumes, and then people started calling me. And that is how I made my first iteration of a freelance business. Okay, so we're going to do the intersection method, which, like I said before, you could start with skills and then narrow it down by interest and then come up with ideas. But you could also try this and doing both. So if we have the skills and you have the interest, so if you have your two lists in front of you, this might be a little hard. So I want everybody to join forces and to write in your questions and write in your combinations. And together we're going to see what kind of ideas we can come up with for each other. So you have 78 people here to help you. All you need to do is come up with what's a skill. And then ideally within that skill, what's an interest that kind of maybe matches up, but I don't necessarily have a good idea. And that's how we're going to come up with a couple of ideas. So I have these 3 skills: writing, teaching, and editing. My major interests are fitness and cooking. So then I could come up with 3 ideas. Well, I can educate parents on age-appropriate meal planning, like for different ages, like how do you make meals, how do you shop, all of that. Could I sell that? Maybe I could sell a book. Maybe I could sell a cookbook. Maybe I can just sell meal plans weekly. Maybe I can help people subscribe to a weekly meal plan recipe. Creating custom workout guides, that would be the teaching and the fitness. Editing plus fitness would be editing for fitness blogs, right? Okay. Also, you can use ChatGPT for this. It's really cool. You could literally drop in all your interests and all your skills and ask it to generate business ideas. And then from there, you'll probably find one that works. So as you're starting to do this, and we're going to spend a little bit more time on it, doing it together, but the more specific we can get, the better. And I know everybody says, oh, don't niche too fast. But when you're thinking about what you want to do, saying I sell fitness is very different than saying I have a 6-week fitness program for postpartum moms to get their bodies back. Very different, much more likely that you have a product to sell, right? And then people are going into the course, we'll tone down the idea or hone it down to get to actually figuring out an idea that you will be able to sell, because the goal here is at the end of this to be able to sell. And then also think about customer benefits. So as you're thinking, try to put it through the framework in your mind of I help you do this so that you get this. Like, very nice that I want to make money and I want to sell my resume writing services, but I help you write a resume so that you can get a job. That's a service with a benefit, right? Okay. Now, sometimes we think that we want to come up with an innovative, someone wrote here, I want to find a new idea that no one did before. Sometimes you'll be brilliant and you'll be like the first person to make WeWork, and then you'll make a lot of money and be super creative. But it's not usually the person who has like the unique idea. Oftentimes there's a reason why it didn't exist. So when I moved to Muncie with 2 little kids, I thought that's crazy. There's no full-time daycares. When I lived in Brooklyn, they had that temporarily. I'm originally from Muncie, so and I thought, okay, I'm going to start a daycare and then I'm going to open up a daycare center and I'm going to make a whole business out of it. There's like a major market need and it's my need, right? So I'm the market, so I know exactly what the problem is. And then when I looked into it and did the math myself, I realized why people in Muncie don't send to big daycares. It's cheaper. The amount of there's no walking, there's a lot of driving. By the time you put your kid into the car, drop them off at daycare, drive to your job, so much time is wasted. The price that a daycare has to charge to be profitable is more expensive than hiring someone in your own home and not taking your kid out in the cold winter that we have here. So like sometimes there's a reason why it doesn't exist. So you want to ask people, would you pay for it, and figure out how much it costs, and then find out, is it just like, am I brilliant, or like, is there a reason that this doesn't exist yet? Okay. And then again, like I said, like passion is good. Depending on your personality type, it's more or less important. But right now, this isn't so much about passion as income, as profit, right? So right now we're just building that muscle of how to make some extra money. Okay. Next, here we go. So you could create your own and type this into the chat, but here is how I put together a sample of writing plus interest, right? So, sorry, skills and interest. So my skills are writing. Okay, my interest, on my interest side is career development. So putting that together, I have an idea: resume writing service or LinkedIn optimization. I use ChatGPT to help me with this. Once I made a list, I asked it to make it better. It did. You could do the same thing. Writing, and I like personal growth. I follow email newsletters on personal growth. I read blogs on personal growth. I journal a lot. I follow mindfulness practitioners on YouTube. Okay, what could I do with that? I could do workshops on personal growth, maybe a journaling workshop. I like cooking, right? So I'm interested in healthy eating, so that narrows it down. So what could I do with being able to cook and being interested in healthy eating? I can make a gluten-free meal delivery, or I could do a meal planning service, cooking, entertaining, right? Put those two together. Custom event menus, reading and self-improvement. I could book summaries, like, okay, so we're going to get to, does the market want to pay for it yet? Like we already discussed, book summaries people probably won't be willing to pay for unless you're the person who comes up with that great app for $9.99 a month. Habit tracking guides, interesting. Okay, so I want you to start doing this for yourself, taking your to list and typing your questions in. If you're like, no, this doesn't make any sense. My skills and interests have nothing to do with each other. There's no way I can make money. I want you to start coming up with an idea and start typing those in. Now, don't worry about it. We're going to worry about the market here. I'll show you. So we're going to take your ideas and then we're going to say, what about the market? What I enjoy? And does it work? And that's how we'll know if we have an idea. But before that, let's just focus first on generating as many ideas as possible. Okay, questioning about journaling and mindfulness workshop. Just because you like it doesn't mean you're qualified to teach. Great question. So a lot of us have this very healthy, like have our self-esteem in check as kind of like, who am I, right? Like, I had that thought before I gave this class, like, who am I to give this class? Like, there's for sure business coaches who know this stuff much better than I do, who are better teachers, who are more experienced, who have more proven experience doing this. But there's a bunch of people in this room, and I think someone's learning something. And maybe I know a couple more steps than you do in some areas. And so I think I could be useful, and maybe somebody would be willing to pay me for that. So, quoting the Lubavitcher Rebbe, who said, from a spiritual perspective, if you know Aleph, it's your job to teach Aleph. Then you learn Bays, then teach Bays. So that perspective applies in business a lot. Like, is there someone who you know something better for? My 13-year-old was saying, like, babysitting doesn't make so much money. Like, I wish I could tutor. But then she was like, but I don't know, nobody would pay me. Like, or I wouldn't know enough. Like, I'm in 7th grade. Like, who could I tutor? And then I was like, well, there's nothing that a 3rd grader is learning that you wouldn't easily be able to do as like a homework helper. And she was like, oh yeah. So like, even a 13-year-old has a skill that they know better than a 9-year-old, right? Like, so there's for sure something that you know better than someone else who would be willing to pay you. People aren't necessarily looking for the best in the world. They're looking for someone who could do this service for them. That's it. Yeah, there's always someone better, 100%. Right, and look at us. Yeah, thank you, Dan. I like what you're saying. Okay, wait, there's a whole thread here. Okay, so what do you recommend when you can learn how to be good at anything and you don't really know what you enjoy, when learning is half the fun? Oh, this is a great question. Focus more on the interest side. So yeah, that's a problem for smart people. It looks like we have a lot of those here. So yeah, you could literally be good at anything. So then, well, first of all, yeah. So what's the most fun? Like, you have my permission to take that as your filter, right? Like, well, which one? If I can make money doing any of those things, or I could spend my Sunday afternoon doing any of these things, what do I choose to do? Right? Not what you would be best at, but what would be the most enjoyable. Because to think that you have more fun, like, think about, who do you hire? The gardener who like looks like they're having more fun, or the barber who like looks like he's like really passionate about his craft, right? Or the one who maybe has slightly better skill. Well, maybe once you learn, but like, we like people who are passionate about what they do. We like hiring them. We like working with them. We like hiring them again and again. Besides the interest, then I would just focus on the money. Well, what pays me more? Right? I could get paid to develop recipes, but I could get paid a whole lot more if I could create the meals for you. So do the thing that is like the most convenient for you. It doesn't need to be the best idea. Like, what I do now is because I have little kids at home. Is it the best use of my skills? There's a bunch of other applications for my skills. But it really just fits with my lifestyle right now, that I get to have this home office and just, run in and run out and be available all the time and be able to, just be there if one of my kids needs something. So like, do the thing that's like the most convenient, the most fun, and mostly the thing that's going to give you the most motivation. Because what we're looking for is quick wins. Because if you succeed once and you sell something once, that's when you build something up. So like anything that's like big and complicated and you'll need to put money into, like stay away from. Like we want the thing that you could just sell right away. Yeah, love learning, but yeah, when you love learning and you don't want to do the thing, I also try to make it a little bit vertical. So like, you learn something and then like I do this with books, like so I don't really give myself permission to buy another book until I finished one. So like then I have application for it. So if you enjoy learning, like, well, then where could you get paid to learn? Like, can you get paid when writers learn a whole lot? Every time you're writing an article, you have to learn a whole new topic, right? So I would kind of incorporate learning in the skill that you have. So learning is the interest. What's the skill? Where could you apply learning to do more? Does that make sense? Yeah, I'm like that too. Once I get good at something, I get bored of it. And like the fun is in the climb, right? It's not getting to the top of the mountain. I get to the top of the mountain, I'm like, where's my next mountain? Oh no, like there's nothing else to work hard at. So we want to pick something that you can have iterations of. And just the thing right now, would the market pay for it, right? So sure, do I love doing resumes? Do I want to write resumes? No, I haven't written a resume in years. I don't like writing resumes anymore, right? It was fun because it was a skill I had. It was something that people were willing to pay for, and I had interest in it. Once I learned enough to be able to do it well, like, I refer people. I get multiple questions a week of people asking, willing to hire me, pay me $500 to write a resume for them. And I'm like, no, here's a referral of somebody who loves doing it. I don't love doing it enough, but I took that skill and then I turned it into, well, it helped me learn a lot about jobs so that then I would be someone who would make sense to start doing career consulting because I had a bit of that background. So start, like by the time you get bored, you'll figure out the next iteration of what to do. Yeah, great questions. Okay. What if today's economy is discouraging? You know how much money people make on downturns? I mean, think about all the people who are getting wealthy in real estate, who bought it up when the market crashed. Like, think of all the people who made so much money out of COVID, selling COVID tests, and they had these like emergency like medical centers popping up, and like, no, when you know your skills well, like you become like recession proof. Like there's no such thing. Like the economy is harder, so people are cutting back on certain things, but maybe they have to spend more on other things. Like they need after school program for their kids because they need to stay at work longer, and whatever you're charging per kid and you have a bunch of kids there is worth it for what they're making at work. Like there's always something creative. Like no, like economy, yes, market decides what they'll pay for, but there's always a new need that the market needs. There's always people who are going to say, oh, well, the market was really bad. And then there are going to be people say, oh, well, the market changed. And so I took up advantage of the opportunity. I learned how to use a new technology that saved me time. And then I was able to do things faster and better than the people who were charging 10 times the price. So that's like kind of pessimistic thinking, I think. Okay, what if my ideas feel too intense? I want to do something fun. I'm good at problem solving, listening to people, analysis, and being creative. Okay, let's see the answer that people gave before I graphic design. Was one. Your ideas are too, this is a good question, Gibdi. My ideas are too intense. So fun, analysis, listening to people, being creative. Yeah, well, sounds like marketing to me. I would be curious about your other interests. Like what kind of problems, what kind of analysis, and then maybe you become like, maybe you're an intense person, like maybe you become a coach for a specific problem that people have. The kind of problems, the kind that you like solving, that you like analyzing, that you like listening to people, and then coming up with creative solutions. I would explore that. What do I do if I make my hobby my job? Great question. It's the common problem. And I'm using my skills that I enjoy, but I'm not good at business. Then the answer is you need to learn business skills, and that anybody can learn. So people have this fear, first of all, like it's not going to be funny anymore if I get paid for it. Really, it's much more fun if you get paid for it. That's not what they're afraid of. They're not afraid that the money is going to ruin it. They're afraid that they're going to have to start fitting into what the customer wants. And don't think of like, oh, but then the customer is going to bother me. Like think of like, say, an artist, right? They're like, oh, but once people commission art, then I'll lose the joy because I won't have my creativity. No. Think of it. What's the thing that you enjoy doing? You enjoy throwing painting canvases in your own way. Good. Expect that that's what people are going to buy. Think of it in a way of like, people are going to buy your creative thing. That's what they're buying, not their creative vision. They could have thrown that on their own canvas, right? Not being good at business is a skill that you can learn. I wasn't good at business before I had a business. I wasn't good at public speaking before I learned public speaking. I might not be as good as good at it now as I could be in the future. That's business isn't like, some people are obviously born with like the natural knowledge, but those are all very learnable things. Just like you can learn to read or write, you can learn business. Yeah, executive assistant. Okay. What if I like so many things and I have a hard time focusing on one thing? Yes, perfection is the enemy of execution. And not sure how to take my skills convert to making money. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be good enough. And by good enough, it means you have a basic skill, you have enough interest that you're willing to do it, and somebody's willing to pay you for it. That is it. I don't need perfection. I need you to start. What if I'm tired of making customers want my product or service? You need better marketing. You need something that you're more excited about that you think everybody should need. Maybe. Some businesses have a certain model when starting, but then attract a different clientele than they expected. Exactly. I thought I was going to work with 18-year-olds. I haven't seen an 18-year-old in a while. Every once in a while they pop up in the summertime. People send me their teens. But like I thought I would do one thing and then I ended up liking something completely different. Again, you have to start. I started and then the first person who was 50 years old called me up and hired me. And I was like, what? That's not what I had in mind. And then I thought like, wow, when I finished, like, that was incredible. I was able to help this person who was almost double my age. Well, a little bit less than that. And the goal is to start, to say that you have a service, to have a container. Like, God cannot send you the money if you don't create a container for it. Of course, he could be creative, but like, let's not rely on him to be creative. Let's be creative, right? Like, you need to create a vessel to have a way for people a way for people to pay you. Like, make it easier for money to come your way. Don't make it hard. How do I take the plunge? Yes. You just start. In the course, we'll go through like, go through your idea, testing the market by asking a couple of people, would they buy it? Getting the first few people to try it for free, getting the first few people to pay for it. We'll go through that step by step. But like, if you're ready to start, then yeah, start. Like, we're going to be doing this course for it's going to be $1,500 after this, but now I'm doing it the first time. And so I'm doing it live with everyone because I want to I want to work through with people on a deep level. And I offered my email list. I just said, how much do you want to pay for this? And people voted on $250. So that's what I'm charging this time around. So we will work through that if you want. Some people always have new ideas, but find it hard to stay on track. You know what? It's very funny. People ask me, oh, you must be very disciplined. And I'm like, disciplined? Like, I'm the most undisciplined person. I start books in the middle and I don't go back to the beginning. I start recipes and I'll leave them in the middle. I can't put something in the oven without a timer and remembering to get it. Like, I'm not disciplined, but I love what I do. And so I made my schedule around what I like doing. And then you learn discipline because, well, if I don't work, I won't get paid. And I like getting paid. And so I work, and then I found something that I enjoy doing enough that I'm motivated to get up in the morning and do it. So that's important. What did you put in the ChatGPT to check the overlaps? So my prompt was just, can you take this skill and interest and come up with business ideas that one person can do on their own that combine these skills and interests. Very simple. ChatGPT is amazing at this. How do you decide when it's time to hire people to work in your business, when to stay small and do less? What if you expand and your business can't handle the extra expenses? Yeah. So there's a book that I really like called what's it called? The business. It's like the one-person business plan. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Okay, it's going to come to me. But there's a book about like intentionally being small or not. I think a lot depends on your personality type. Like, I prefer to hire outside contractors and train other people to be career coaches versus having a bunch of employees and running an agency. Maybe I would make more money that way. I wouldn't enjoy it. So fun is an important factor for me. But I wouldn't worry about these things now. First, go make $1, $100, $1,000, $10,000, then worry about that. Like, that's when you need a business consultant, unless you're already up to that. But like, then like, that's a whole different conversation. Okay, space planning. Can people pop their profitable ideas in here? Yes, yeah. No, I want people to put their ideas in here. I'm scrolling down. I hope that people are. And then we could right away tell them if it's a good idea or not, because we're the market. Okay, what if I'm working in the helping field? I'm really good at it, particularly consulting, and it's not growing. I'm creative, and part of me would love to do design and something creative. Very good question. Yeah, why isn't it growing? So is the market not there? Are you maybe not niched enough? Are you not speaking to the right people? Like, where do the people who you want to help hang out, and where are you helping, and where are you hanging out? So, like, if I would be, like if the people who I want to service don't use the internet or don't use social media, and I'm doing all of my posting on social media, like it's not going to work. So I'm curious if you want to respond to this. ES, who wrote this, I'm super creative, and part of me would love to do design something creative. So I'm curious about like the consulting and why you're not getting those clients. Okay. Okay, so I'm trying to remember what this was. Someone's following up about their question. So they do get paid for it, but I'm not good at making it profitable. Maybe I'm too nice. Oh, but okay. So how to do it as a business. Okay, follow up with me. I do a free career Q&A for a specific question. So follow up with me. Just message me on my website or message me, coach@shanakaren.com. I'll drop that in and ask for the free career Q&A if it's kind of a general career question. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Okay, skills, selling, teaching, connecting to people, interest, people, traveling, cooking. Okay. What could we come up with for you? So let's see. If you like selling and you like traveling, selling travel, selling cooking services, connecting, networking. Interesting. Okay, those are two like really good overlaps. There's a lot to do. Okay, thinking about doing, Sarah saying kitchen design for out-of-town communities. They have stores, but not someone understands the unique needs of a kosher kitchen. Brilliant. This is a fantastic idea. Yes. And even in town, someone who doesn't want to use an expensive designer, who just wants someone who like I can buy it myself, but I want someone to just sit down. Yes, I love this idea. Yes, Dan, do it for free for a couple of people. Yeah, I'll take you up on it. It's so hard thinking about people's reactions. I know it really stops us when we think about like people are like, oh, like another idea, but like those people, is it worth not living out your dreams because of those people? Like, of course it's not. Of course that's a thought. I always ask clients when they say like, oh, everybody will question me. And I'm like, really, who's that one person? It's usually one person. Maybe it's your mother, maybe it's that friend, maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's like a neighbor that you actually don't even care about their opinion so much once you think about it. And like, yeah, here I go again. I went through a bunch of career changes within the field that I was in originally. And then when I told my husband I was going to do career coaching, he was like, okay, like, did you find your thing? Like, is that, like, did we find the thing that you're going to do? Like, is that going to be consistent? And I was like, no, the thing that I know about myself is that I'm going to be consistently inconsistent, and I'm going to keep trying new things, and I might get bored of them, and then I'm going to try new things because I really want to be happy, and I'm going to make sure that they make money. Okay. Like, yeah. So I'm like the kind of person who likes learning new things. Don't think of it as a bad thing. Think of it as I'm a multifaceted, growing kind of person. Like that's up to you. Okay. Kitchen design service. Amazing. Okay. Okay. So, Mecha wrote, what if I have an idea but will only work if I go big? What do you mean? Can you explain what you mean? Like, can you start small? Is it like opening like a healthcare agency? Like, why can't you start simple? Okay. What if I'm working in the helping field? Oh, you explained. Okay. You're sharing about it on social media, trying to get the word out. Really good at zoning in the right people. So I want to know, are you getting like who are you trying to help, and are you getting specifically in front of them? So that's growing it. But you have your idea. Now maybe we need to tweak your idea to more of what the market wants. That's what seems like is going on. Okay. I like to write, teach, exercise, but I'm not on social media. What can I do? Good. The people who you want to write for, teach, and teaching exercise are probably also not on social media. So then where could you offer them a free exercise class? Maybe it's direct mail, flyers. Maybe it's telling a couple of your friends that you're doing a free exercise class. And then if enough people like it, you start charging for it. But chances are that if you're not on social media, then neither are the people who are in your community. So, there's enough people around there. Social media is like not the answer for many businesses. Is the book. Yes, thank you. A Company of One, Paul Jarvis. Yeah, it's a great read if you're deciding if you should be a company of one or a large company. But probably don't read that yet. Probably go make some money first. Okay. Trip, vacation, itinerary planning. Good. So who pays for that? Right? That means you have the skills, you have the interest. Now, who pays for itinerary planning? Google that. Find out what companies. Ask ChatGPT. Ask them to list the local companies. Ask how much they charge. It has a lot of information you can get for free. It's so easy nowadays. Okay. I would love to use personal experience to help smaller to mid-sized companies develop conflict resolution. I love that. That's a skill. That's definitely consulting, change management consultant. That's excellent. Okay. I love marketing. To create an affordable community of women who are juggling life and work to align passion, impact, empowerment to go after our dreams and provide accountability. Good. So that's passion. That's interest. I can't tell if it's skill or not. And what does the market want? So now women who are juggling life and work. So I would go after the ones who are employed so that they have a budget. And then what kind of community or what are you offering them? What are they missing? I would go and ask them, what do you feel like you're missing? Is it spirituality? Is it just peer support? Is this something that you'd be willing to pay for? Right. So, or maybe you go after organizations that are already marketing to working women who are trying to juggle two things, and you ask them if they need any help with their marketing, or you say, okay, do you have an upcoming event? I would love to participate. I would love to do your social media. Like find a way that something that the market's willing to pay for. Great conversation here. I love this. Okay. Coaching. Yeah, people who are so coaching and you want to have a social life at work. I'm just reading. You said following up on your saying the person who said my ideas feel too intense, could have problem solving. So you want to have a social life. So becoming a coach or becoming a social worker, then you work at a clinic with a couple of other people. There are ways to do that. You sound like you have a whole lot of talent to put to use. Probably your problem is also having too many things that you do. You could also kind of get your socializing elsewhere or build a community of like-minded people. Like I kind of did that. There weren't a lot of career coaches for me to socialize with. So I created it. And then I get to meet with them once a week, training them. And then I have follow-up meetings monthly with coaches who I've already trained. Like I have a bunch of career coach friends now. So there is a way that can be done. Do you have to start for free? So if you've never got paid for this service beforehand, you don't have to, but it's a very good way of proving it and getting practice, because then the people who you've helped for free can provide you with testimonials, can refer you to their friends. Like an easy way to get into organizing or giving piano lessons is saying okay, the first 3 people get free lessons. And then, okay, if you're happy, refer you to your friends. I know lots of people who've started off really successful businesses that way. So if people are willing to pay you, of course, don't give it away for free, right? Only if you have to prove it. Are there ideas that are not limited to my time and direct hours you put in? So right now, when we're starting out with an idea, we are kind of selling time for money. Let's say with a writing thing. So you should sell a product like a project versus an hour, like how many hours it takes me, right? So if I could do the resume, in a half hour versus 5 hours, like when I started, I'm going to charge the same price. So, but right now we are kind of exchanging time for money. Once you max out of time for money, then you go wider and then you turn it into a business. But right now we're doing the very basic getting started. Now it's not the worst thing to exchange your time for money. Build up that skill and then see how you could turn that into a business, right? So anything could be turned into a business. You're a barber, you can open up multiple barber shops and hire people, but first you got to be the barber, right? Not everything's like that, but most things really are. Unless you have a lot of money to invest. And we're talking about not investing money, just investing time and skill. Custom closet company. How do you get more customers? Yeah, so marketing. There are people, speak to Mati. She wants to do marketing. How do we get past our resistance idea if there's a need in the market? Why, if there's a need, then why is there resistance? Offering a free version, right? Maybe you think you don't need my class. So I'm giving you a free version tonight so you can decide if the way my teaching style and what I'm teaching is useful enough to you, so that you can get a sample of it. You have to give people a sample usually to get them to pay you. Okay. We're going a little bit late. I started learning photography, love the work. I can't afford to quit because I need funds and scared to go full time. No, don't go full time until you're making enough money. Figure out how to make consistent income. You're kind of up to the next stage. You chose your idea. Now you need to monetize your idea to replace your salary. Different stage. Okay, B2B advertising and marketing skills, content creation and writing, SEO knowledge. Whoa, you know a lot of things, Leah. Okay, data analysis, social media advertising, email marketing. You're just not sure if you have the interest. Okay, I would pick the thing that sounds like the least bad instead of like the most fun. And then and then get paid for it. Like build up that skill. That wouldn't be so terrible if somebody would pay you. And then, get to a point where you're just like, you know what, I don't care how much money you offer me. I'm not willing to do another email marketing campaign for you. Well, then you know that it's a terrible idea, but you could try it out. Like ask business owners that like, okay, can I do some data analysis? I'm trying out this, I'm doing an experiment. I'm trying out a couple ideas to start a side hustle. Could I for free practice on you? Email marketing. Can I write some sample emails for you? You never have to use them if you don't like them. Like, just try. Yeah, that's a good point. The intersection of you with the clients. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, exactly. You need to be good at the business yourself before you have others people to do your work. Does every idea need marketing? Yeah. No, not like a very good idea doesn't need marketing. You could be the best singer in the world, but if nobody knows about you, you don't exist, or you might as well not exist. Yeah, marketing isn't like a scammy, salesy, like paying for giant billboards. Marketing means letting the people who are interested and in need of your product know that you exist. You do need to let people know that you exist. It might be like a simple flyer in the school, like letting people know that you exist as a tutor, or like an email to the principal, letting people know that that's marketing. It doesn't need to be a big, flashy, colorful thing. How to choose one thing from my list of ideas. Okay, so narrowing it down, look at your list. What would be the most fun for me to do? From the most fun, and go on a scale of 1 to 10. Anything that's above 7 of fun, what pays the most? Narrow it down like that. Again, don't get stuck in indecision. Indecision is such a killer of businesses. Like, who cares that you could do 10? You know what? Do one successfully, then you'll do the rest of them. Like, we know people, how come there are so few people who are business owners, but the people who own businesses own multiple businesses? A lot of them, right? Because they learned the skill of building a business. So stop worrying about which business and just do it. It's like you're standing in the front of your closet in the morning. You're just like, I can't choose which outfit. And then it's the end of the day and you're still standing there. You know what? Just get dressed and start your day and go do something. It doesn't really matter what you wear, right? Yeah, good advice. Good. You reach out to contractors. Okay, sorry, you're on the right track. Excellent. The guidance in the course is going to be a lot of guidance because I want successful clients. I want testimonials. I want to be able to sell it again. And so, and I want people to succeed, obviously. And so I'm going to be doing like a lot of support. Like this course is going to be my, like the first one, it's going to be getting the most support probably that I'll ever provide in a course. It's going to be recorded and I'm going to be selling the recording for the same price after that. And then I'll be providing the same level of support or less for $1,500 in the future. Okay, specializing in marketing. Good. Someone already offered. Great. Problem solving on the spot. How to decide between selling a product and a service. Usually services are cheaper because you could just start with the service. Products cost money to invest in. So start with a service and then take that money, make a separate bank account, collect that money until you could go make a prototype of your product. Unless it's a product like decorating candles that you could easily create and do from home. But most products, like if you need manufacturing and a whole bunch of steps, it's going to be expensive and that's going to get in the way. I want you to be able to just start immediately. Okay, good. We got through the whole chat. Now a couple of more. Okay. Again, reminder, this is step 1, not 100. Begin something small, something that you could do yourself, something you don't need to hire for. We're not looking for the big idea, just an idea that checks enough boxes that you can do it well, and you could build it. And this is how you change yourself from being a regular person to an entrepreneur person who can make money, who can do it again and again and again and again. Okay, so now you have your ideas. Now, again, we have to take it through the final litmus test. Does the market want it? Would I enjoy? Which it could be like, am I interested enough or would I enjoy? And then we have an idea. So I have the resume writing service or LinkedIn optimization. Does the market want it? Absolutely. Tons of people pay for that. Would I enjoy it? Yes. Then I have an idea. Journaling workshops. Is the market willing to pay for it? Maybe not. I think maybe yes, but okay. Would I enjoy it? Yes, but maybe not enough people in my area are willing to pay for it, or I can't find the right community. Gluten-free meal delivery. The market wants it. Would I enjoy doing it? Yeah, no, I want someone to do it for me. So probably not. I might start with it because I'm anyways doing it for myself. So maybe I can make some money and then use that money to pay someone else to do it for me. I don't know. Right? Custom events, menus. Maybe the market would pay for it. I'm not sure if I would enjoy it. Okay, something to consider. Ask people around, find out what other people do. You're going through the exact same thing. So some ideas are yes, some ideas are no. We're starting with the skills and interests, coming up with the idea. Does the market want it? And can I do it? Or do I enjoy doing it? And then do I have an idea? From those ideas, would it be fun? What would be the most fun? And then what would be the most profitable? First fun, then money. And that should leave you with one good enough idea. And if you still can't pick, close your eyes, point to something like a pin the tail on the donkey and start with that. And then you'll go through a whole process of making sure the market is, you think the market's willing to pay for it, but finding out if the market's willing to pay for it, doing it for free. If you've never done it before, to prove that you can do it, then you'll be more confident. They'll be more confident. Then you'll be able to start selling it. Again, you don't need to be an expert. You just need to know more than the person who's willing to pay you. Okay. Now, if you want to turn this idea into a business with me, if not, stay, because we're going to do one more thing. I want to show you the personality types. We're going to be good. These are exactly the steps. So we're going to finally narrow down choosing the idea, and we'll do this live, and everyone's going to be unmuted, and we'll be able to have great conversations. Target market. We're going to figure out who your market needs, how to identify them, how to know exactly what they want, down to the color of their socks and the flavor of toothpaste that they use. Week 3, we're going to do pricing, how to make your offer, how to price things out. The 4th week, we're going to be doing getting leads, selling, closing, and then we are going to be celebrating your first sale. And if you want, here, I'm going to drop this. No, not like that. Here's the page that you'll find if you click on this. Let me drop that in the chat. If anybody wants to look at that page, it's available only now for the next week at $250. For $250, sorry. How do I go back here? Okay. Okay, so this was fun. I just did another, this was ChatGPT, so I've not verified if this is good. But you can go much deeper. But your personality type. So take your personality type. Does anyone here know their personality type? We could do it live with them. Okay. Oh, ENFJ. Perfect. Okay. So ENFJ, let's see if this is accurate for you. Where's ENFJ? All the way at the bottom. Oh, okay. So inspirational, charismatic, and organized. Yeah, that sounds about right. So some ideas: leadership coaching, motivational speaking, creating personal development course. Yeah, you do some of those things. That sounds pretty good. So you'll see for different personality types, there's different things. Does anyone else know the personality type? We can do that. Oh, everybody knows the personality type. Hold on. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, we have INFJ. Okay, does this INFJ visionary? Whoops. What did I just do? Made it smaller so everyone could see their personalities. Okay. Take a look, see if that makes sense. Find these suggestions, use ChatGPT yourself, come up with better. Yes, right on the money. INTP, I'm an INTP. Hello, friend. Okay. Can you define skills versus interests? What is the difference between a born skill and a learned skill? Excellent. So we have skills that we're born with. Like if you take an aptitude test, you'll like some people have a better sense of direction, or some people think visually. Some people are more creative. Some people are better at generating ideas more quickly. So those are born skills. But if you do nothing with them, or say somebody was born with athletic ability, but they're in a family that's really not athletic, and they don't live in a city that has many athletic options. So they're not going to develop it, right? They're not going to know that they have it, or they might know that they have it and be frustrated. But it's not a learned skill. So learned skill, you can learn business, you can learn finance. Most people aren't born or even graduate school knowing a thing about business or finance or personal development or all of those topics. So I hope that answers your question. ISTJ, INFJ, best place for a personality test, my website, shanakaren.com. There's a free personality test. You'll get a 3-page amazing report that people love and is very, very spot on. ENFP, yeah, please share your LinkedIn profile in the group. Absolutely. If you can't figure out if you're the N or the S, do you notice what people are wearing? Do you think about the future a lot? S's notice what people are wearing, what things look like. N's may or may not, but very likely not. Yeah, take my quiz. 16 personalities. Yeah, that's also fine. The course is going to be the same time. It's going to be Wednesday nights for the next 5 weeks, 9 p.m. You don't notice what people are wearing. Are you very futuristic? Yeah, all those fun questions. We could talk about that. Okay. And I think that was the last slide. Yes, we got through the entire thing. So I'm going to stop the share. Okay. If anyone still has questions, yeah, you never know what people are wearing. You got 2 different answers. Okay, take it again. Schedule a free career Q&A with me. I'll be happy to help you figure out what your personality type is. I love doing those sessions. Good. If anyone still has questions about developing putting together their skill, it sounds like people are more like, I have so many ideas. What should I do with it? So you can ask people around you, like, okay, I like doing this thing. What do you think people would pay for? Looking up, if remember that if competition is doing it, that's really healthy. That means the market needs it, right? So if you see that there's already 2 moving companies, interesting. Could I do something different? Call people and ask them when they moved, who they used, what they like, was there anything missing? Like, find out from your market what's going on. Thank you everyone for joining. Please feel free to follow up with any questions. Scheduling a career Q&A or a free discovery call is usually the best way to do it. The free career Q&A is for people who are not planning to become clients, but they would just have an interesting career question. And then parts of it are recorded, parts of me speaking. Your confidentiality will always be trusted. And someone, if you'd like to work with me, that's a discovery call where I kind of try to figure it out. If I can help you on the spot, I'm happy to. If not, then I try to refer you to the right person. Okay, excellent. Sarah, yeah, you could drop in your portfolio, of course. Yeah, there will be multiple participants, but it's going to be limited class size. So everyone's going to get their time to work through things. We're going to have like, it's going to be unmuted. People are going to have a chance to have live, like hot seat coaching, where we're going to work through your actual ideas and make sure that people come up with something. Excellent. Okay, thank you everyone for joining. People who don't have ideas, I'll tell you what I tell them. This is a great question. I ask them what they hate. Everybody knows what they don't want to do. Oh, I don't want to work with kids. I don't want to sit in front of a computer. Good. And then I think of the opposite of that, So you can also use ChatGPT to be like, okay, here's all the things I don't like doing. Here's my personality type. What are some suggestions for things that I might like doing? Also, usually people who say I have no ideas don't think that the things in their personal life have anything to do with business. So they think like, oh yeah, I love bike riding. It has nothing to do with business. Like, really, maybe it could. So think of all the parts of your life and don't like separate so much between work and personal life. You should totally join just to have this much fun every week. We're going to have a ton of fun. Absolutely. Thank you. Fantastic questions. You guys were a fantastic group. I'm so amazed at how many people showed up so late at night. Such great questions. I hope that you got your questions answered, and thank you for coming, and you'll get the recording. Oh, here, and Sarah just dropped in her kitchen thing. I'm gonna take a look at it. Okay, love it. Message me if you have a question about being in a different country and pricing. Just email me, coach@chainofcaring.com. Okay, thank you. Such a great class. I really had a great time. Thank you so much for doing this with me. Yes, of course, some things do actually need training. What we're talking about is like the things that don't like, no, you shouldn't become a therapist or say that you're a life coach if you don't know what you're doing. But you should, but you can find a way that you can help people or provide a service, like something that is within like the basic version of, maybe you are doing a home exercise class and you're inviting people not as a personal trainer, but as like, hey, come do exercise with me. We're, following along this routine that I'm doing, right? Like within your like responsibility, within legal acceptable, guidelines, like obviously be smart. Yes. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night. And if you have any questions about the course or any questions in general, be in touch with me.